Hello, and welcome to What's New with CDP Public Cloud. My name is Hannah Jetty, and I'll be your host for today, talking to you about what's happening with our Cloudera Data Platform Public Cloud solution. We've got Michael Coase joining us to talk about Cloudera DataFlow for Public Cloud, and Sherry Zhao joining us to talk about natural language processing for data visualization. So join in and tell us in the comments below where you're joining us from. Michael, where are you today?
I'm in Santa Cruz, California. Beautiful day, mid-morning. So yeah, great to be here.
Thanks. And Sherry, where are you joining us from?
I'm in London. I can't say the same about a beautiful day, but.
Excellent. Well, thanks for joining. Michael, welcome back. I know you've joined us before to talk about the world of data flow. So excited to hear about your latest launch. So let's dig right in. For those of you joining, we are doing a raffle. So if you ask our presenters a question, you'll be entered in the raffle to win some cool Cloudera swag. We've got some socks, a sock or hat, socks or hats as you get ready for winter and fall, or a cool Cloudera notebook. So ask away. We'll have our presenters on to answer all your questions as we go along. So let's get started. Michael, tell us, what is data flow experience on CDP Public Cloud?
Yeah, thanks so much, Hannah. It's good to be back. Good to be talking to all of you again. So we had a big week last week because we released our brand new Cloudera DataFlow for the Public Cloud product, which is a new cloud native experience on CDP Public Cloud. And I think the best way to think about this and summarize it really quickly is that this is the first cloud native runtime for Apache NiFi data flows in the market. So for those of you who don't know Apache NiFi or are not too familiar with that, Apache NiFi is an open source data movement tool that allows you to move streaming real-time data from basically any source to any destination. You can apply transformations, you can change schema, you can enhance, you can look up data. So a lot of our customers use that to power data movement across their entire organizations. So, but NiFi itself, running NiFi at scale, we've seen challenges that our customers are running into, and these challenges is what we've solved with this new experience. So I just wanted to quickly walk through these challenges before I show you what the product actually looks like. So first of all, a common thing that we see, and I think this is true to all sorts of tools where lots of people, lots of use cases share the same infrastructure, the same resources. At some point, the more usage you have, it just gets crowded, and it's hard to isolate resources for particular data flows. And that might be an issue for you because data flow A might be more important and critical than data flow B. So ideally, you'd like to allocate resources to specific data flows. And that just leads to this resource contention problem. Another issue, and that's related to the resource contention, is that we see a lot of our customers are oversizing their clusters simply because they want to have enough headroom available for that resource contention, right? And now that more and more customers are running these data flows in the public cloud, we all know we all want to control our cloud costs. And the more you oversize, the more unnecessary infrastructure costs you spend on that cloud hardware. So it's another challenge that is becoming more and more important now with running these data flows in the public cloud. Another challenge as well is just scaling, right? Data volumes are not always static; they change all the time. So you need to be able to react quickly to an increase in data movement and a decrease, and that's hard to do with NiFi right now. You can manually scale it, but it doesn't do it itself. It doesn't monitor the usage and scale itself. And monitoring can also be challenging when you have lots of data flows running. So for these challenges, we've seen them with our customers, and we wanted to address them with this new cloud native runtime for Apache NiFi data flows. So what we've introduced is Cloudera DataFlow for the public cloud. It's a brand new experience on CDP Public Cloud. And it allows any Apache NiFi user to bring their existing NiFi data flows, and they can then import them into the new Cloudera DataFlow experience in public cloud. And once they're in there, you can easily deploy them in this new cloud native runtime. And then the benefit of deploying it like that is that all these deployments of these NiFi flows will automatically scale. They will provide better monitoring features, and they allow you to isolate these resources just as you want to. You can treat each of these flow deployments independently. So really solving these issues that we've seen.
Got it. That's really exciting. But how is this different from running Apache NiFi on an infrastructure as a service deployment in the public cloud?
Yeah, so the main difference is really that with this new experience, and you'll see that in the demo in just a bit, we've redesigned everything to be around data flows. So you no longer have to create clusters. You no longer manage the infrastructure. All you care about is, onboard your data flow, deploy your data flow, and then monitor your data flow. And this new experience takes care of all the underlying infrastructure and resource management. And if you compare that with running NiFi on IaaS environments, the first thing you do, right, is you provision the instances, then you install NiFi, then you configure it, you cluster it, you secure it. All these things are taken care of by this new experience.
Got it. And can users automate flow deployment or other common tasks?
Yeah, so we actually expect customers to be using this mostly to automate their flow deployments. So for DevOps use cases. And therefore, yeah, CLI and the ability to automate is front and center to our experience. And yeah, you can create these deployments using the CLI. So it's very easy to automate.
That's great. Do you have an example of kind of how a customer might use it?
Yeah, I think I wanted to give you really quick a tour here.
Excellent.
So let me just maximize that real quick and zoom in a little bit. So some of you probably have seen this before if you followed us along here. We're now in CDP Public Cloud. So this is our homepage where we see all these experiences that we have available. And now we have this new data flow experience available here. So first thing I'm going to do right here is, we talked about these monitoring challenges. The central place in Cloudera DataFlow is the dashboard. And the dashboard gives you that one view about all the data flows that you've deployed across your enterprise. And what we wanted to do with this dashboard here was really to quickly allow you to see two things. Number one, is my flow healthy? And number two, what's the performance like? So for the health and status of a flow deployment, we indicate that right here, good health or warning, so you can easily see whether there's an issue with one of these deployments. But then what we also do is we just show the current performance of the data flow. And you can also see that over time in graphical representation. So in this particular example, right, I can immediately see there's probably an issue here with these two data flows because they've been reading some data constantly a while back. Now, for whatever reason, they stopped. So I should probably look into what's happening here, right? So I can now take one of these deployments and I can explore it further, and that will actually take me to the NiFi UI, to the actual NiFi deployment that's running that data flow. So for those of you who know NiFi, this is where you would see the NiFi, the visual flow design, and how it's processing that data. So I can go from the central dashboard to the individual deployments to then figure out what's happening. And it seems like this flow is now picking up some data again. So there was a temporary outage here. Now, another thing that I wanted to show real quick is just how do you get to this, right? This is the flow deployments. Now, how do I deploy my flow? And for this purpose, we have what we call the catalog. And in the catalog, you can store all your existing flow definitions. And once they're in the catalog, they're available for deployment. So I can take the latest version of this particular data flow now, and I can start deploying it to one of my cloud environments. So I got an environment on AWS running here. And when I start that deployment, we'll now just bring up a wizard that walks me through all the steps that I need to complete to provide, all the parameters that this flow needs to work. So let me just quickly go through that. But what this also shows you is just how everything is oriented towards this flow design. We're not creating a cluster, we're deploying a flow. Now we can pick the resources for this particular flow deployment, and auto-scaling, turning on auto-scaling is as simple as just flipping that switch here, setting some boundaries, and off we go. So this is a deployment request. This is how easy it is to deploy a new data flow. And now the experience will take care, provisioning the resources, and we'll boot it up and we'll start the flow. So if you don't have any of these existing NiFi flows, we also provide a set of what we call ready flows in this ready flow gallery for some of the most common use cases that we see our customers using on CDP. So you can get started with these ready flows. They will, for example, help you to get some data from Kafka, write it to another Kafka topic, or ingest some data into operational database, or move them between S3 locations. We've built these flows. They come with the product, and then you can use them. You can parameterize them, adjust them to your environment. You can use them as a starting point. You can further customize them. But yeah, they're really supposed to help you get started in case you don't have that rich repository of NiFi flows already, already existing.
Got it. That's great to see. So a reminder to our audience, if you're watching us live, ask your question for Michael. We already have a few questions come in. So anything else you want to share before we jump into some Q&A?
No, let's go to the questions.
Great.
Yeah.
So while NiFi is stream oriented, why is Cloudera not developing more ETL oriented framework or library?
So I would say if you're looking for traditional ETL capabilities, lots of transformation heavy workloads, that is a good use case for our data engineering product portfolio, where you can do complex transformations with Spark, and we really see a lot of traction around that product with our customers. So NiFi is really optimized for that streaming data, and you can do lookups, you can do simpler transformations. But for these traditional ETL processes, our data engineering portfolio, or even if you think about you're doing ELT, right? You're extracting and loading with NiFi and then transforming the data once it's, for example, in Cloudera Data Warehouse. I think those are the two patterns that I would recommend for these ETL use cases.
That makes sense. So is DataFlow available for private cloud?
Not yet. It's right now available for CDP Public Cloud on AWS. And we are working on getting the tech preview for Azure out, and then we will bring it on premises as well. NiFi, the core NiFi, is available for CDP private cloud base, so for our traditional bare metal deployment form factor.
Got it. And how is this different from running NiFi in Data Hub?
So NiFi in Data Hub makes the NiFi cluster creation very easy. You basically hit a button and you get a new NiFi cluster, and that NiFi cluster is secure. But once you have that cluster, once you grow your number of flows that you're running, you will eventually run into the same issues that we've seen with our currently existing NiFi customers. So NiFi in Data Hub doesn't solve the multi-tenancy resource contention issues. And that is really what the DataFlow experience does. And it automatically scales. It runs on Kubernetes. It's elastic. Whereas Data Hub is more of a, give me a NiFi cluster on virtual machines. I know exactly what my workload is going to look like. I know the resource requirements, and I'm fine with that. Whereas the DataFlow experience allows you to be, more flexible. I think that's the main difference.
Got it. That makes sense. So let's talk to Sherry a little bit data visualization, then we'll come back with any more questions that come in for Michael. So thanks, Michael. Hey, Sherry, welcome. How are you?
Hello, I'm doing well.
Good. So tell me about data visualization.
Yeah, so Cloudera Data Visualization is a way to create highly interactive dashboards with a large number of different types of visuals directly within the Cloudera experience. So users can easily connect to Cloudera databases like Impala, Hive, Solr, as well as a variety of other data sources like Postgres or MySQL or SQLite. And then they can apply a layer of data modeling directly within the application itself. This allows them to create and share dashboards or standalone applications for these data sources. And it's used by customers to help make database decisions within the company, as well as publish easily digestible data to their customers. So for example, within Cloudera, Data Viz is used to email out quarterly budget reports, track JIRAs, or analyze platform usage.
Got it. And so what's new with the natural language processing capabilities that are added in?
Yeah, so this is one of the features that we just announced in July, and it's the ability to create visuals using this, sort of a search-like feature. There's two areas we're really trying to tackle with this feature. One is data exploration within Data Viz, as well as for the dashboard end user. Another area we're trying to simplify is the creation or customization of visuals.
And how does search help with data exploration?
So I think the easiest way to show that is going to be through a demo. So say we have this hurricanes data set. It's hurricane season right now, so it seemed appropriate. And we are interested in seeing, say, the number of hurricane trends over time. What you can do is there's this search icon next to the data set, and if you click it, it should bring up a modal that will allow you to search within this data set. So what you can do is you can come in and see all of the various fields that are available in this data set and just start typing. So for example, we might be interested in the counts of hurricane by year. And the instant you start typing this, we'll be able to generate a visual that shows you what has been observed as accounts of hurricanes over time. So say you notice that there is this pretty big spike in hurricanes in 2020, and we want to now observe maybe the trend of hurricanes just within 2020. So you can actually do that kind of filtering directly in here by just saying within 2020. And then it's going to pull up a visual that's going to graph the trend of count of hurricanes within 2020. And this isn't static. You can actually go through and click on the various elements within the title and edit it here. So for example, say we're actually interested in hurricanes in 2000, and you can type that in and have it graph that same trend, but for the year 2000. So from this, you can sort of see the visual trends by month and when hurricanes are happening, but you can also use this to graph where it's happening. So taking a look at the data set again, you can see that we have latitude, longitude information, as well as maybe something like maximum wind knots. So we can maybe query this data set to graph some of the hurricanes. So maybe just the top 10 by the maximum wind knots. And we're going to need the longitude and latitude again, and limit it to 2020 again. So now this generates a query that's going to get us back the top 10 hurricanes by the maximum wind knots, longitude and latitudinally. So you can actually see this if you wanted more information. Like, it's not just useful to say this. Maybe we want to know what they're called. So you can type in the field name, and it'll generate that same graph. And now hovering over it will show you what the name of that hurricane was. And some of these are collected together. You can actually click icons here to see the underlying data that we're graphing and download it. You can also explore this visual and see what other types of visuals are available for this query. You can also go in and see the actual huge query that we're generating to create this visual, as well as what you would have had to do in the builder to create this if you wanted to do it by hand. So once you're sort of happy with what the visual looks like, the user can either save it away by bookmarking it, or they can actually use this as a basis for creating new dashboards. So they can either add it to an existing one, or they can just create a new one altogether. So once they've created a new one, it'll be available in a dashboard. They can edit it by changing the settings here. Everything will already be set up for them if they wanted to customize it some more, or they can even come in and change the queries again here. So this tackles the exploration feature within Data Viz, as well as sort of improving the visual building experience. But another potential gap was that Data Viz didn't previously have a way for the end customer to explore data. So a lot of thought would have to go into building these dashboards to make sure that it fully satisfies all the end use cases. But one of the things that we've done now is that there is this new search visual type that users can add to their dashboard. And what this does is it exposes the whole search feature that you're able to get from the modal to the dashboard user. So if you come in and you view this dashboard, you're going to actually see the search modal here, and you can do pretty much the same type of querying that we could do before, but inside of a pre-built dashboard and as an end user. So this has been a pretty quick overview of all the new search features within Data Viz. Feel free to ask any questions about this or Data Viz in general.
Great, thanks, Sherry. That's a very powerful demo. We do have a few questions in. So is this feature on by default?
Right now, since we've just enabled this feature, I believe you might have to go into the settings to enable it. So most users will not have access to the application settings, but if you go in as an admin, you should be able to see site settings here, and there is a feature section where you can enable the search. So you see you can enable search in general. You can also enable or disable it within this menu bar. And you can also enable or disable just that search visual that I showed.
Okay, great, thanks. So are visualizations deployable items? Can I automate them?
Deployable items. So the dashboards are deployable in the sense that you can share them. So depending on the experience you're in, you can create dashboards that you email out or send to other users. So for example, you can get a link here to share out. You can send it via email. And that we also have a concept of applications, which is a collection of different dashboards that looks like a fairly standalone, let's see if we have any in here. Yeah, that sort of looks like a standalone collection of dashboards that you can just host or embed somewhere else.
Got it, thanks. So, thank you for everyone who joined. Now let's do a raffle. If you asked a question, stay on so we can see if you won. So give us just a moment while we run the raffle, and you can take a look at some of the fun things that you might be able to win, like some Cloudera socks or a hat or notebook or anything else from our Cloudera swag store. Thanks. So next month, we'll be talking about Cloudera Data Warehouse and some of the exciting new capabilities that we're launching there. So thanks to our winner, Anish Ragunada. Thank you so much for joining. Can you email socialmedia@cloudera.com to claim your prize? And thank you to Michael and Sherry for joining us today. Hope to see you guys again soon. Thanks. Bye.